McSploogle.
Oh, this is a good question, actually. Any tips on how to deal with mentally with tough rugby conditioning sessions? And I read this a few minutes ago when Gerf was talking. I remember having a thought in my head when I was, I'd say 16 or 17, in a particularly shite conditioning session. We used to have like a mini off season over Christmas where you'd have a few weeks without games, and they used to just push us very hard in terms of conditioning. And I remember during a session somebody saying, "Fuck this, I'm done with this." And I could tell you, we were by the container on the back pitch in the rugby club. I can remember who it was, and they said, "Fuck this, I'm done." And they went as if they were walking away. And at that point, I was 16, I've been playing rugby for 11 or 12 years. And that was the first time I ever even realised that you could not do a session. This is honest to God truth. I never realised that was an option, because it doesn't matter. Like when we were there, your mother or your father would drop you off on a Saturday morning. Then it turns out your mother or your father would drop you off multiple evenings a week, or someone else's mom and dad. There's no point not finishing the session because you would know where to go. You may as well finish it and do it with everyone else. So in terms of dealing with those mentally tough sessions, it really is a scale of like where you're coming from and what you're willing to put up with. I really like a kind of tick the box or a progression over the course of a session, in terms of I feel like I'm achieving these things as I go through. One thing that really does help me is if I know there's 3 usual aspects to our training sessions. So we might first start off with some sort of speed work, then go into some longer endurance work, and then finish with some kind of very mentally tough stuff. I like to know I'm going from section A now, I'm going to section B now, section B now to section C now. I think one mistake a lot of coaches make is a lot of coaches like to hide it, you know. You'll find out how many runs you do when you do all the runs.
Oh yes.
Like, just crap.
That's
bullshit.
That is a classic.
A classic, you know. That is one thing. If you're struggling to get through this, and if it really is an issue for you, one thing that will really help is knowing that, ticking those off in your head. Even if you're only 10% of the way through, then you can tick those off and understand what's happening. Another thing is viewing this as part of an entire process, and instead of just viewing it as this acute time of extreme discomfort, you're now viewing it as just another step on to you being a starting player on that team, winning matches for that team, being an integral part of how you whatever. Just understanding that this is all part of a process, not focusing on what's happening now. You know, no matter how bad this session is, you'll be sore for 3 days afterwards. It's nothing major. You're not there as part of your professional development, more than likely. Getting through this conditioning session, there's nothing bad can happen. Like, the worst thing that can happen is you'll fall and break your ankle. You'll be grand within 3 months, you know. Like, just put your head down and push as hard as you physically can in every single session you're in, because there will come a day at McSpoogle where you won't be playing ball anymore, and you really wish you can go and do those incredibly hard conditioning sessions with the lads, you know.
Just coming from the heart.
But you won't. Like, that day will come. You won't know when it's coming, but that day will come. And just be glad of every session you have.
Some good advice. Yeah, that's probably unanimous across most sports, is tough conditioning sessions.
Yeah, every sport has them. They just have different forms.
It's hard to talk to the teenage brain and be like, this is for a good benefit, you know. Yeah. It's funny. Did your man actually not finish the session? Did he leave?
Yeah, just walked away. And I never realised that was... I can tell you exactly who that was. And I can tell you that was the first time it had ever come into my brain that someone couldn't finish a session. Obviously, people get injured and don't finish the whole time. But I never knew you could consciously say, I'm not doing this.
And he left. Did he come back next time?
Yeah. He played for years afterwards. But it had never been in my... And I was like, fucking hell, it'd be great to just not finish this, wouldn't it?
Is he a loser?
No, he's a good player.
Mad.
Yeah.
Eugene says, can we publicize seminars on YouTube too? So we did advertise other ones, but it was the...